forecast. This is WeatherScope.
Winds have been gusting to hurricane force tonight, but it's not a hurricane. It's pounding the northeast.
Right.
It's a nor'easter. We've been pounded by heavy rain, heavy snow, thunder and lightning, heavy surf, coastal flooding, the whole schmear.
Unbelievable.
It's winter in the northeast. Welcome to WeatherScope. I'm Dave Schwartz.
And it's December 29th. I mean, with thunder and lightning.
With thunder and lightning
pretty
in New York.
amazing. And I'm Kim Perez. The storm is definitely part of a complex weather system that has spread snow all the way as far south as Georgia. And the mid-Atlantic states got some decent amounts of snow earlier today, too. Moderate to heavy snow fell throughout the day in Beckley, West Virginia, which is just south of Charleston. Nearly a half a foot of the white stuff fell. So that many of you had to dust off your cars before you headed out. And be extra careful tonight because some of the roadways may slicken up again. Now in Stanton, Kentucky, we had some big flakes falling, and Stanton is just northeast of Lexington. We had kind of a gloomy day today, temperatures in the low 30s. Now there wasn't that much accumulation, which has probably made it gloomy because if it's going to snow, you might as well get some pretty decent amounts of snow. Now that looks beautiful, I think. Those look like some big flakes. And it doesn't look like the roadways, looks like they're pretty wet with temperatures in the mid-30s, kind of like it was in Atlanta. Caused a little bit of problems on the roadways, but with temperatures hovering in the mid-30s, you're not going to see them icing up too much. Now, this is turning out to be a pretty impressive storm here in the northeast. Now, we have had winds gusting with this over 75 or at 75 miles per hour in Long Island earlier today, as the low was south of Long Island. Now the low is now moving over the island and probably will be moving into Connecticut here very shortly. We're already seeing pretty big pressure falls occurring here and a lot of moisture coming in here. And for sure, you're seeing snow in the higher elevations here in the mountains, the Adirondacks, the Catskills, the Green and White Mountains, eventually into the mountains of Maine. But the coastal areas, it's been pretty much rain. But we could see a changeover, and we'll talk about that in a second. But check out some of the totals so far. Now, this is not the most we have seen. We've had some reports in West Virginia of over 20 inches of snow. Eden, North Carolina had 6, Hickory had 3.5, and Charlotte had 3 inches of snowfall. Now, we are looking at the possibility here in northern New Jersey, maybe in southern New York, maybe in Orange and Putnam counties, of some snow, maybe up to 6 inches in some areas. We do have winter storm warnings out in this area, and some of the cold air is now being drugged southward, so we're going to allow those temperatures to drop and some moisture working up. You can see it here just north of Philadelphia. across this area could bring several inches of snow. We could even see an inch of snow in New York City. And what a night you have had. Thunder, winds gusting 40, 50 miles per hour. Probably some street flooding occurring here. Hopefully everybody was in the house nice and safe, and I wouldn't doubt there's some power outages here around Long Island. Now Boston, it's been rain, and we think it'll be rain for a while yet. Here's a closer shot for you. The rain moving into Connecticut, Hartford, and Poughkeepsie. I believe earlier mixed with started out snow and then changed over to rain. But again, some of these areas may change back to snow. So just be on your guard tonight. Give yourself plenty of driving time tomorrow morning when you're heading up. Now we're seeing improving conditions in Long Island and in Hartford. You saw how the radar kind of cut off there because we're getting some drier air working into this area. Most of the moisture now moving back into the western parts of New York and Pennsylvania, where we're going to see some heavy snowfall tonight. Albany could see maybe up to a foot of snowfall with this. And the winds have been howling tonight. That is probably another big story here. If you are planning on traveling tonight or tomorrow, the winds are going to be gusting probably 50 miles per hour or so. We do have storm warnings up in this area, and coastal flood watches because we have those easterly winds here. They'll be piling up the water. Look at our forecast. If you like the snow, you're going to love this, but it's not good for the folks who have to get out there and travel tonight. We'll have more on that in our Travel Wise coming up shortly. Dave.
Well, Kim, the snow that we had in Chicago kind of pales in comparison to what is expected here tonight in Albany and elsewhere across New York State and Vermont. But it did snow. It was beautiful. Not for commuters, but it was a very light rush hour anyhow here in Chicago. The snow plows were out. The cabbies were out too. There wasn't a whole lot of business, however. Those folks who were out on the street just decided to do just that. Be out on the street, test out the new boots, the new umbrella and cap and mittens that you picked up for Christmas. Just a beautiful day, especially if you had the day off. You saw the school kids. And we still have some snow flurries in Chicago, in the Loop, and then down toward Gary, Indiana. But I'll tell you what, there's going to be more where this came from. Not in Chicago, I don't think, but out to the east of Chicago, east of Gary, back here toward South Bend and Elkhart. Some heavy lake effect snows tomorrow as some of the coldest air that we've seen in a long time blows southward out of Canada across hundreds of miles of lake, gets moisturized, clouds form, and there will be heavy lake effect snows because quite often those bands set up in the same area. The sun will be out a couple miles down the way and you've got a foot of snow. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Northwestern Indiana, southwestern lower Michigan. Just some snow flurries headed down into Oakland County here in southeastern Michigan. A kind of a cloudy, dreary day in Detroit. Had a few snow flurries around Cincinnati and Miamisburg, Dayton too. Those are